Hello children, this time we've got Florinda and Yoringale. Once upon a time there was a castle in the middle of a dark forest where an old woman lived all alone. She was a witch. During the day she changed herself into a cat or an owl, and at night she changed back to a human being. She used magic to entice rabbits and birds to come to her. Then she would boil or roast them up for her dinner. A powerful spell surrounded the castle. If a man approached within 100 steps, he would find himself powerless to move. There he would be forced to stay like a statue until the witch decided to free him. But if a young girl approached, the witch would change her into a bird and lock her up in a cage. She had 7,000 birds cages in her castle, each containing rare birds. And near to the forest lived a girl named Florinda. Now she was the most beautiful girl in the world, and she was engaged to a handsome young man named Yoringale. They loved each other very much and were to be married soon. One day they went for a walk in the forest so that they could spend some time alone. And we must be careful not to go too close to the castle, warned Yoringale as they set off. And late that afternoon a change seemed to fall on the forest. The sun still shone between the thick green trees, but the turtle doves who lived there began to sing a sad song, which made Florinda cry. Then both Florinda and Yoringale began to moan. They felt miserable, as if they were about to die, and it wasn't long before they realized that they had lost their way. It was almost sunset. Yoringale looked through the bushes and saw that they were very close to the castle walls. He trembled at the sight. Then he heard Florinda singing, "Little bird with your red wings, singing sorrow, 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 singing the dove's death, singing sorrow, chirp, chirp, chirp." Before his very eyes, Florinda changed into a nightingale, and then an owl with haunting owl eyes appeared and flew 3 times around her, crying, "Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!" Yoringale found that he could not move an inch. He stood like a stone, unable to cry, speak, or move his hands and feet. Then the sun set. The owl flew into a bush, and from its dark leaves appeared an old hunchbacked woman, sallow-skinned and scraggy, with big red eyes and a long crooked nose. And here she is. Look at that. Look at that big long crooked nose and her red eyes. Ooh, she looks scary, doesn't she? She mumbled something, took the nightingale in her hand, and carried it away. Yoringale was helpless. At first the young man despaired that he would be a statue forever, but after a while the witch returned and began to chant in a sinister voice, "Oh, Zakiel, when the moon shines on the cage, break the spell at the right time, Zakiel." Then Yoringale was free. He fell on his knees before the old witch and begged her to give him back his Florinda. She told him he would never see Florinda again, then disappeared. "What is it to become of me?" sighed Yoringale. He wandered all night until he came to a village he had never been to before, and there he worked as a shepherd for many years. He often walked near to the castle, careful not to get too close. Then one night he dreamt he found a red flower, in the middle of which was a beautiful big pearl, and in his dream he picked the flower and took it to the castle. Everything he touched with that flower was freed from the witch's evil spell, including Florinda. And when he awoke next morning, Yoringale began to search high and low for such a flower. He searched for 9 days, and on the 9th day he found it. In the middle was a big dewdrop as shiny as the finest pearl. Carefully he retraced his steps and returned to the castle, and this time the standing spell didn't affect him, and he was able to walk right up to the door. Yoringale was delighted. He touched the door with the flower and it opened. He entered, crossed the courtyard, then stopped and listened, and there was such a twittering and cheeping coming from the tower that it wasn't difficult for him to guess where the 7,000 birds were imprisoned. And when the witch saw Yoringale, she fell into a great rage. She cursed and set back poison at him, but she could not get nearer to him than 2 steps. There he is when he was working as a shepherd, looking after the sheep. He looks very sad, doesn't he? He ignored her and hurried towards the bird cages. Oh, there he is, see, holding the witch back. She couldn't even get near him because he had that special flower. Can we see that flower? Can you see it up there? That nice little pink one. Well, I think it's red, but that's all right. Doesn't matter, does it? Okie dokie. But alas, how could he find his beloved Florinda amongst the hundreds of nightingales? In the corner of his eye, Yoringale noticed that the witch had stolen a cage and was trying to escape through the door. He leapt towards her and touched the cage with his flower. The witch immediately lost all her powers, and Florinda stood there as beautiful as ever. With a cry of joy, she flung her arms around his neck. Then together they changed all the other birds back to young girls again and returned home, where they lived happily ever after. Now that was a nice story. I'd never heard that one before, had you? Very, very nice. Florinda and Yoringale.